Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For those who will join this broadcast live and those who will watch the recorded. Okay, so my name is Deji Yesufu, and I usually do this recorded videos for Facebook and subsequently I upload to YouTube. I hope you get to enjoy or get something out of what will be discussing today. I'm not sure whether it will sound enjoyable to you. So please bear with me. Today, I want to talk about something that I've titled Free Speech and Progressive Society, or Free Speech and Progressive Societies. And I just want to not lay, but discuss, look at some historical context and try to apply it to our situation as a nation. Okay, so the application is going to be Nigeria, but the what's that now? The discussion is actually going to be very general. Okay, so I want to thank those who are joining. Olarwaju Ogun Ade, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate the wave. God bless you. Okay, so some weeks ago, I discussed the concept of government, okay, and I tried to explain to people who care to listen that there is no government in the world today that is divine. There is no government in the world today that is divine, in the sense that there is no government where one God anywhere, whether it's the Christian God or the Muslim God, or even a traditional God that says this is how society must be run. There is none anywhere in the world. Government came about by people sharing ideas. Government came about by people expressing their opinions, and all of these ideas developing over centuries. So what we knew as government many years ago, in fact, some less than 300 years ago, the predominant type of government that we had was a monarchical type of government. And the monarchy is a government of one person ruling over a people. And usually what happens is that when that one person dies, then his son takes over. And then that son dies, and they perpetuate the government in a family. So one family rules. Okay, in medieval Europe, there was that concept of feudalism, in the sense that it wasn't just one family that was ruling. It was actually a set of families that were ruling, and these families got their powers from having acquired land masses. So they have land masses, they settle people into them, and they themselves become lords over those people. Okay, so government before some 300 years before now had been usually monarchical. In fact, before the British came to Nigeria, the government that we had was a monarchy in most parts of this country, except in the southeastern parts where you didn't have a strictly monarchical system, but they still had chiefs. They still had people who were ruling over them. Okay, so but as time progressed, one of the things that the United States of America has added to our world today is to popularize the system of government called democratical government. Okay, so the U.S. It actually didn't even start in the U.S. It actually started with the French Revolution, but the French Revolution didn't continue well, because it resulted in an autocrat coming to power, that is Napoleon Bonaparte, which is another kind of history entirely. Okay, but what the French Revolution gave the world was that a people have a say in how they are ruled. So they cried out and they revolted. It was a bloody revolution, okay, and the world listened to them. Okay, so eventually, by the time we had the free world in the United States imbibed the the ancient Greek democratical system and said that government can be by the people. The people can elect their leaders. Okay, so, and that has developed over time. And even the British have also imbibed that, so that even though they have a monarchy in one hand, they still have a prime minister. They have a prime minister and a parliament where government can be run and governmental policies can be debated. Okay, so we're still going to get to the issue of debate, hopefully. But one of the things I just want to lay foundation is that government in our modern world is not divine. There is no, God did not say anywhere, then God, this government must be run by so. No. Okay, it is people who decide on how they want to be ruled. Okay, and hopefully, where we are in our world today, we're hoping that we are developing such a government to a point where people are continually having their say. So now, if government is not divine, and if progressive societies are going to be based on developing ethos of government, okay, then one of the things that cannot be taken away from such societies is the fundamental right for people to speak freely. Okay, now people may not be able to have their way on every issue, but by all means, these people should have their say. Okay, so when you get to a place or a system or a country where people are not given the opportunity to have their way, and they are also being curtailed from having their say, you are building a system that can result in anarchy. Okay, you are depriving these people opportunity to contribute to progressive society and to the system, to the manner in which their government will be run, and such situation can result in pent-up frustration and eventually violence. Okay, so there's a danger, or there's a close connection between a society that will move forward and a society that allow for free speech. Okay, but if as much as we have free speech, or as much as we have people saying whatever they want to say, those things cannot be said beyond certain standards. And that is where some of us who are religiously inclined, we come in. Okay, we try to help society to realize that society, even though the government in the society is not divine, society itself came to be because of a higher power, and that higher power is God. God created this world, and God has given this world laws. Okay, in a Christian community or in a Christian society, the Christian society is ruled by a Judeo-Christian Judeo-Christian laws, which means the 10 commandments. Thankfully, in Nigeria, the predominant religion, which is Christianity and Islam, do not disagree entirely on the 10 commandments. In fact, they are more or less agreed on it, because Islam and Christianity are development of Judaism. Okay, so they are agreed on that. Okay, so whatever we're going to debate, whatever we're going to discuss, whatever we're going to say cannot get to the point of jettisoning those laws. So that simply means that whatever laws we will make in a society, whatever policies the society will build, we can never get to the point where we will say that murder is allowed in such a society, or stealing is allowed, and so on and so forth. A Judeo-Christian or a God-given, the God-given laws still form the foundation of, well, our discussion as a society. That's what some of the issues that some of us have against Western society, because we realize that in the West, a lot of them are throwing away their Judeo-Christian traditions and just imbibing traditions that have no center anywhere. Okay, so please, let's not forget what I've said so far, that government is not divine. Government is the result of people discussing over time and building a society, a workable society. And when people are deprived of free speech, you have frustration and you have pent-up anger, which could lead to violence. There's something that Brigadier Alabi Isama said one day, once. Please forgive that sound. It's coming from the nearby mosque. I pray they're able to get their sound in order. Okay, so he said this in an interview that he was granting on his book. He wrote this book, The Tragedy of Victory. Alabi Isama was one of the officers that led platoons, I believe, groups of soldiers against the Biafran in those days. And he wrote this book about the tragedy of victory. Alabi Isama said something in that interview. I'm not sure whether it's even in the book because I've not read the book. Okay, but what he said still stays with me. I mean, it will stay with me for the rest of my life, and I hope that some of us will get something out of it. He said this. He said, all the war that Nigeria fought with Biafra, all the war that they fought in that 30 months, that all of it could have been debated if Nigeria had a parliament in those days. That all that war, everything, what they sought to quell with the butt of a gun could have been simply quelled by people discussing. Okay, and you probably wouldn't appreciate that statement until you listen to the British debates and their parliament. Okay, how many of I'm sure a lot of you would have listened to the Prime Minister of Britain come to Parliament to defend his policies. He will be sweating, and somebody who is not up to nothing will stand up in Parliament and challenge him. Okay, and they will discuss back and forth, and sometimes it degenerates. You know, it degenerates to words, it degenerates to insults, all sorts. Okay, but they still come back and they still discuss. Okay, what they do is they judge rather than going to war, so that eventually, if a government realizes that it has to stand before a people or before an opposition to defend its policies, it will ensure that that policy is properly straightened out before it comes out. Okay, so Gowon and Ojukwu could have clearly settled their differences in a parliamentary system, and have their people discuss those things and straighten it out. And a part of that was done when the meeting at Aburi in Ghana held, but unfortunately they didn't follow up, and eventually what happened, there was violence. Okay, and even though the Southeast has been subdued, Southeastern Nigeria has been subdued, the arguments that still resulted in that war, those arguments have still not been sorted out. And anywhere or any system or any government that seeks to muffle such arguments, okay, might succeed for a time, but only God knows how long such muffling will continue. Okay, only God knows. Because what eventually happens is that people become frustrated and people resort to violence. Okay, and if any of us have been watching what is happening in southeast Nigeria, if we remember 10 years ago in Borno State, this was how Boko Haram started. Hit and run, hit and run. And they were basically attacking government facilities. They were attacking police and so on. Okay? And all of that came as a result of, well, the Boko Haram people were not even smart enough to discuss. But unfortunately, these ones, the Southeast people who are ready or who we think we could discuss with, we are muffling them. Okay? There's a close connection between free speech and progressive society, and there's no government that is divine. Okay? Government comes as a result of development of ideas, and those ideas come as people speak in society. Those ideas come as people share their mind. Okay? So with that said, I was going to say something about the northern southern dichotomy, but I'm not going to stress that point anymore. I'll just go on to say, or probably end this discussion or this broadcast by saying that the ban on Twitter is a very unfortunate one, and I'm thankful to hear that the government is talking with Twitter. I pray that they can get to a point where they will restore it, but if the Nigerian government succeeds in banning Twitter, Facebook, and other social media outlets, they are going to succeed, or they would have succeeded, in muffling free speech in this country. But in one hand, while they might have muffled free speech, they are given occasion for for pent-up anger. They're giving occasion for people to not have places to release or to express their frustration, and that eventually can lead to violence. Okay, I pray that they rescind on their position, and I pray that somebody in the government can do what is right. That is what I pray for this government all the time. I pray that the Lord will give the Nigerian government wisdom to do the right thing. But banning Twitter at a time like this is definitely not the right thing. I want to suggest a solution in this discussion, or in this in this broadcast. I want to suggest a solution. It's a very simple one, and I hope it's not one that I'm very sure it's not one that will get me into trouble. Okay, and it is this: I am wondering how the APC government, both at the federal, state, local government, at all levels, are going to approach Nigerians. In 2023 and ask them for their votes. I can't envision. I don't know how it's going to happen. I can't envision it. I can't envision how. I don't know how it will happen. Perhaps we should tell APC what happened in Oyo State in 2019. Okay, so we had this gentleman. His name was Abiola Ajimobi. He did well. Okay, quite a lot of road networks in Oyo State were constructed by him. But eventually he had developed a feudalistic mindset, which he thought he was all in all, could say anything to anybody and whatever. Okay. When the Oyo State people went to the polls in 2019, they didn't go to vote for Seyi Makinde. They went to vote out APC and anything that represented APC. And at the end of the day, Oyo State became the only, if I'm not wrong, the only PDP government in Southwest Nigeria. They were able to replace 2 senators and so on. I don't know what APC is going to tell Nigerians in 2023, 2022, 23, when they come to ask us for their votes. Because we're going to tell them that in 2015 and in 2019, people used Twitter to discredit the PDP government. Okay, they used these same platforms to discredit the PDP government and to install the APC. Now the APC government have banned Twitter, and I don't know where they're going to even use or what they're going to use to tell people to vote them in 2023. These things have, it comes back and forth. It's a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Okay, you may be muffling people's voices now, but the days will come when you yourself, you would need a voice and you wouldn't have it. Okay, again, like I said, I hope that the government can sort out issues with Twitter, okay, and that people can have access again to free speech, because its ability to speak in society, that's what brings out ideas. And as ideas, let me use the word jam ideas, ideas mix in society, one or two come forth and they help to move society forward. And I'm talking about ideas under God's laws, not just ideas, any kind of idea, not all of these silly Western ideas, but ideas under God's law, okay? But when you ban free speech, when you ban Twitter, you don't give opportunity for debate. You allow for frustration to build up, and you are giving opportunity for those frustrations to lead anywhere they could lead, okay? So I'm trusting God, and I pray every day for this country, you know, and it is a prayer that some of us pray that leads us to say what we say. Because when we have confidence before God, then by God's grace, we must have confidence before men, okay? Let us not muffle the voice of the people. We don't have a parliament in this country. The only parliament, or the only kind of parliamentary system we have, is this Facebook, Twitter thing. Let us come to the public. Let people debate ideas. Let government agencies come out and bring their policies out. Let them debate it. If they cannot defend it in public, let them not bring such policies out. That is the point. Okay? So I hope you got something out of it. I just want to, oh, well, it's not. All right. Okay. So if you have a question or comment, you can just leave it there, and also share the video. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Bye-bye.